Okay, hi Johnny, what's up? I bet you didn't expect me to send you a video, now did you? I was actually starting to type out my response to you. My name is Dvir. We wrote a little email together, and then I thought, why not? Why not send a video? So before I start, let me tell you about myself a little. I'll try to keep it short. I'm 19 years old. Yeah, I'm pretty young. And I have big ass dreams about the world. I read your book. I'm a fan of yours. I'm a fan of Tim Ferriss. I read the 4-Hour Work Week. Beautiful stuff. I really enjoyed it. And I actually really liked your book so much that beside the dropshipping lifestyle, right now my goal is to actually be able to move to Thailand, okay? To Thailand, whatever you're supposed to say it. I'm actually from Israel, and the first step is actually using the dropship lifestyle to generate enough income to allow me to travel and actually visit you in Thailand. I guess you didn't know it, but I'm coming. Now, I guess you hear it all the time. People there tell you, I want to move to Thailand, I want to come visit you. So that's okay. I understand if you don't believe it right now very much, but and I do have some issues, some private stuff, but I'm really motivated, I'm really focused, dedicated, and honestly, I believe that I'll do it. Other things beside dropship lifestyle, I also developed some apps from the Android store. They're not something very special. They're not like Angry Birds or something, but I did manage to get over 100,000 downloads, which is making me about $20 a day, which is awesome. That's great. That's like a really good income for zero work. And now I'm going over the big numbers. Obviously, I saw your data, how well your shop is doing, which is awesome. Like, I envy you. Like, good job, man. Keep it up. And so now I'm playing for the big money, the big cash. And I wanted to let you know, first of all, thank you for applying me for about the niche research. Actually, your favorite ones are also my favorite ones, and I'm sure that I'll start all of them at one point or another. Right now, I don't know which one I'll choose yet, but I'll go over it. As you can see in my room, on the left side here, there's actually a world map. That's what I asked my parents to buy me for my birthday present when I was 17. Like, they asked me, Dvir, what do you want? And before I even started being so adventurous and thinking about traveling or the 4-Hour Work Week, like, lifestyle design, I actually requested this map. And until that day, it's actually hung on my room. And guess what? Thailand is also over there. You can even see Chiang Mai, I swear. So actually, my interest points and a lot of personal stuff, I actually don't really think I'll enjoy Muay Thai right now. Like, I read your book. I read it twice actually. I read it once like 8 months ago and once like in the past couple of weeks. Great book. I love your stories. You're obviously a really cool guy. And the thing is, I don't really care about fighting so much. Like, I'm not a violent person. I know that you're not too, but I don't think I'll enjoy fighting and martial arts, but who knows? I'm open-minded. I'll give it a shot. My main point of interest is actually scuba diving, which is also something, obviously, you're an instructor, you obviously know a shit ton of stuff about it. And when I come to Thailand, it's actually like a mini retirement idea, like Tim Ferriss says. Actually learn scuba diving. I don't know if to become an instructor because that's like really advanced, but that's really good. Other than that, I really enjoy salsa and dancing, so that's really cool. And that's it. What I actually wanted to tell you before I see we're already at 4 minutes, so I'm not going to take so much of your time. What I wanted to tell you is thank you for answering about my niche and helping me. One of the few people that I actually trust with this info. And I guess I'm a fan of yours. Like, I really enjoy reading your stuff and I watched all your videos. And wow, man, I wish I could be like you, like every day I wake up and my goal is just like, when am I going to go to Thailand? When am I going to visit Johnny? Where am I going to start working on my passions? I'm very dedicated, and only in the last few weeks I felt like this. And I want to thank you for inspiring me, like really inspiring me. I asked myself, Dvir, why are you so dedicated? What takes this from other times when you tried stuff? And I guess that one of the reasons is because I saw your success. I saw how you actually put the work into it, like the really hard, dedicated work, and how you actually made it like a huge success. Those numbers are astronomical, and I know that you don't make 100% profit, but it's still huge numbers because that's like working from your laptop. So before I get into too long boring stuff, thanks for watching, keep being awesome, and thank you for helping me with my niche. I'll update you how I'm doing like in the next few weeks. Actually right now after I finish this video, I'm gonna call and apply for an EIN, the employer identification number. I even have here some stuff filled out, like with a lot of questions. You see this? This is all like gibberish questions, like what the hell, how am I gonna make it work? So wish me luck. Keep doing what you do, keep being awesome, and I'll stay in touch with you. Have a great day. Bye bye, Johnny.
Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, the radio show all about traveling like a boss by being your own boss. Stay tuned for weekly interviews featuring guests that have built their own online businesses. If you would like to have access to our entire back catalog, visit travellikeabosspodcast.com for instant access. And here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Johnny, and welcome to episode 32 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. Today, I'm here with David from Israel. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so how do you actually say your name?
So my Israeli name is Dvir, but people have a hard time saying it, so I just say David.
All right, so I'm going to try to say Dvir, but we'll see what happens. So you're a young guy. How old are you?
Yeah, I turned 22 months ago.
And you are basically retired.
Basically, yeah, that's one way to put it.
And what's really cool is Dvir messaged me not even that long ago. It's a couple months ago, maybe?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 months ago.
And basically, you know, you were starting your businesses then. You weren't, at that time, I think you were just getting started with both dropshipping and also your apps.
Yeah.
And now you're in Thailand.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been an amazing, like long, really short period of time where all of this went down. It was really fast.
Okay, so let's bring it all the way back to the beginning. So how did you first get in contact with me? Like,
how did I first contact you or get into like?
Well, I mean, yeah. So yeah, how did we meet?
Okay, so the thing is, like about a year and a half ago, I stumbled upon the 4-Hour Workweeks forums and I saw your post there. And then I stumbled on your website and I saw 12 Weeks in Thailand. I read your book. And I read it about 3 times total since. I really liked it. And that's how I've been started getting influenced. It way before I was thinking about actually making money online and traveling. It was really like when I was still in high school. It's really a long time ago.
That's crazy. So you're a teenager in high school.
Yeah.
And you just stumbled upon the 4-Hour Workweek, stumbled upon 12 Weeks in Thailand, and
yeah.
You weren't even planning to have it be a business. I mean, why did you read those books?
So I think it all started just because I was a really curious guy. I think all went down to curiosity. Like that's where it all started. Like years before, like I remember learning how to play the piano by myself. After I saw this amazing piece on YouTube and I was blown away. I was like, I have to learn it. Then learned a few other things, and I got into like reading blogs online. I was reading Zen Habits or whatever, and I started like stumbling off all these possibilities of bloggers who eventually talk about this lifestyle, and I started getting really interested.
When you first read about it, I mean, so you're, this young kid living in Israel.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you weren't surrounded by people doing it.
No.
Did you believe it, or I mean, was it hard? What did you think?
Wow, it was really hard. Like this big shift. Like the first time, I just didn't think it was a reality. I think the first time I read your book, 12 Weeks in Thailand, was like, okay, that looks nice. But I never actually thought how I could make it a reality. It was only after the second time afterwards, like 6 months after, when I was done with high school, I was really thinking this could be real. And then I started like thinking, how can I implement it?
And how did you implement it?
I just read at first. Like I read a shit ton of books. I read like in every year in the last couple of years, I read about 28 or 29 books, and I really liked it. And I just started trying things, I guess. And I think I just admitted I don't know anything, and then I went to other guys looking for the resources and learning how to do it, and I just started trying, I guess. I was a big Tim Ferriss fan for a long time, so I still am, and I read his books, just trying, and I guess just looking for models that I can copy and make them work, basically.
You're not the first person who said that. I mean, even Anton, who's been on the show a couple of times, he read the 4-Hour Work Week, and he actually just did exactly what Tim Ferriss said.
Yeah.
And he went out, he got a virtual assistant, he did an online business, and, I mean, I wish that I would have just followed it 100% when I first read it 5 years ago, instead of just picking and choosing and thinking I knew better. Yeah. So obviously I didn't. And I think that's a problem that most people have is, we have this knowledge that we've accumulated either through school or through our parents or just through life, and we assume we know everything, so we kind of just start picking and choosing what we choose to follow or believe in, when in reality, if we would have just picked any system, almost anything that worked, obviously, but if we just said, okay, you know what, maybe I don't know anything, let me just try it, it would work.
Yeah, that's so true. Just going after and trying it wholeheartedly, that's really, I can't agree more, because you can avoid so many mistakes by following something that already works. Either like the way by thinking that you know best is gonna make it really hard on you, trying to invent the wheel.
Yeah, especially, if someone's gonna take the time to write a book, generally they want to share, what they've learned. I mean, so I just read a book on the plane called the Black Belt Blueprint by my buddy Nick, who was on the show before too. Yeah. And he is a high-level jiu-jitsu black belt. He's been doing it for over 10 years. He's trained with some of the best in the world, and he decided to write a book. And and because I know him, I know how honest he is about it. But it's one of those things where, like, if I was just getting started, I would just follow that book exactly 100%, not overthink it, not try to go out and read 50 other books or try to ask questions in forums. I would just follow it, and it would probably work.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like, you think about books, like this person who's like spent often years like mastering all this knowledge and gaining all the experience, put all of his time and effort into writing this one single book that would take you like several hours to read, where he just talks about everything you learned. That's really valuable. And
I actually never read a book until I was in my late 20s.
Oh, that's terrible.
I remember just having a bad, like a bad taste in my mouth for books, because my dad yelled at me when I was really young. I remember coming home with like a Harry Potter kind of book as a kid, and my dad yelled at me. He said, like, why you read, don't waste your time reading that crap, do some homework. If you want to read a book, read a math book. And I'm pretty sure he actually threw the math book at me.
Wow.
So ever since then, I just hated books. I said, you know what, I'm not reading this crap. Even in school, when I had to, I would just skim it, or I would find some way to do the book report without actually reading the book. And it wasn't until my late 20s that I realized, man, a book is probably the best value, the best $10 you can spend in the world, because you can get years of somebody's experience and thousands of dollars worth of their mistakes in a $10 book that you can read in a few days.
Yeah, it's really true. I can't agree with you more. Like, I think that like the most successful people I've met, it's amazing, but all of them were like, they had like a few things they were doing that were shared in common. One of them was always they were regularly reading books and learning. Like, you can always tell, like, and I can always tell like a lot about a person just by seeing their bookshelf, just by looking. Like, this one guy I met, really special dude, he just showed me what he was reading. Before I even had the chance to like really talk to him and get to know him, I knew it was someone really special, and it turned out he was, just by the books he was reading, because it says so much.
Yeah, now that we have Kindles, you can just look at somebody's homepage.
Of course.
So, what have you been doing? I mean, you've been out here for how long now?
I've been out here for 2.5 months, just literally living the 12 weeks in Thailand, I guess. Just traveling around. First time traveling, this is all very new to me, traveling by myself. First time that I'm also not really vacationing, just traveling. I left my laptop at home, so I wanted to like jump right in and see what it's gonna be like.
But you're still making money every day.
Yeah, I still make money. I still make more than I spend, so that's pretty cool.
So everything that you set up is now completely passive.
Yeah, once or twice a week I check email to feel a little bit productive. Yeah, it's kind of passive.
That is awesome. Actually, when you messaged me saying that you were going to be out here and that you were going to leave your laptop at home, I thought you were joking.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was pretty serious about it. I remember always when I was working, always toward the goal. It was never like work for work. It was always working toward affording that dream.
You know, when I first came out to Thailand, that was actually my goal too. Is I wanted to come out, and for 3 months, I didn't want anyone to bother me. I didn't want to have to pay a bill. I didn't have to check an email. I didn't have to make a phone call. I wanted to hibernate. That was my dream. And I think it's from all the years of having responsibility, having stress. You know, even in school, even just, you know, day to day, having responsibilities and chores, I just wanted a break from it all. And that was probably, you know, my equivalent of coming here without a laptop, even though I'm pretty sure when I came, there were no laptops.
Yeah, everybody wants to like relax and go away. I actually didn't feel that stressed at home because I was like, after high school, I was just working on my business, and I was also trying to get out from, like, in Israel, I was supposed to go to the army for 3 years, and I really didn't want to go there. So while I was working on my business, I was also setting up the procedure of getting out, which was really hard for me. It was really, really hard.
But, you know, I think that's really cool that you knew that wasn't something that, you know, you wanted to invest 3 years of your life doing.
Yeah.
So you figured out a way out of it.
Yeah, and it was really, really hard. Like, basically, when you're 18, it's like you don't know much about anything. Like, I still don't, and you have all this like pressure from society to go to the army. It's a really big thing in Israel, and I just didn't want to do it. It's more than, when you think about 3 years, it's more than 1,000 days doing something that I basically didn't want to do. That's a long time.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of your life. I mean, that's your prime.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why, you know, they have you go when you're 18 is because that's when you're, you know, the most energetic, you know, you can learn the most, you're most vibrant. And those are probably some of the best years of your life that you would have just given to someone else for something that you didn't really enjoy doing. So I'm proud of you for kind of taking that. I mean, so in the U.S., you know, going into the army is completely an option, but we have societal pressures to, you know, go to school, to go to college, or get a job for a corporation, you know, all these different things.
Get a job. What are you doing sitting there on the computer? Go and get a job.
Lazy ass. I mean, you hear that all the time, right?
Of course, you do.
And so we have our version of pressure as well. And it's I know it's really hard for people to not fall for that because it almost feels like an obligation or a responsibility.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I had this period between high school and when I was supposed to enlist in the army. Well, I was like, I wasn't sure. I couldn't make up my mind. I would constantly change my mind between going to the army and not going because I got accepted to a really good place in the army too. They were like, you'll get a really good job afterwards. It was like a programming job in the army for 3 years, and it was like you can make a shit ton of money afterwards. It'll be great. Like, you can drop out of like the 95 grand afterwards. Just do this. And I was like, I was conflicting, and I didn't know. But you know, once I decided not to, and I actually went through like all that pressure, and I went through it. It's like made you so strong on the inside. Now you don't care much what people like say because it's like you've been through this once, and it was a really unique experience for me, really.
You know, there's a lot of guys that are literally twice your age who would benefit from going through something like that and just really standing up for what they want, what they believe in, and not just doing what they feel like they have to do. I mean, how do you think you got through that? I mean, did you have support from your friends or family to get through that?
So the thing is, like, first of all, I just spent, you know, the quote, it says you are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. And I just spent a lot of time just reading online, bloggers, reading books, just people who were like talking. So basically what I did is like, I listened to all they said about getting a job, and I was applying it to go into the army because that's what basically kind of what it was, like confirming to society. And that's what I did. My family wasn't supportive like they are now, but at first, man, it wasn't easy, not for me, not for them, and I totally understand because it's sort of a taboo. They were worried for me that it's gonna hurt my future, like you're not gonna have a job, or like they went as far as to say like a girl won't want to date you or some other stupid things. It was really, really different.
You know,
that was, and I was just 18.
It's almost the opposite, where I feel like those first couple of years when I was trying to make it, and I was trying to figure out how the heck can I make enough money to live, and how the heck can I, you know, support this lifestyle. It was hard, and I had a lot of self-doubt. But I think it was this trip. So I actually just got back from the U.S. last night. So it was really good timing that you had messaged me.
Yeah, I got lucky.
Yeah, and so I did spend the last 3 weeks in the U.S., and this is the first trip back that I was 100% confident in my life.
Only now. Wow.
Only now. I mean, it took me 5 years. I mean, even after the first couple trips where I'm like, you know what, yeah, it's fun, but then people would always drop those hard questions on you. And not necessarily because they had your best interest in mind. It was because I don't know. A lot of people just feel like it's their obligation to make you feel like shit, you know, or make themselves feel better somehow.
It's really funny. You can see those subconscious patterns where you tell people about what you do and they just spit up excuses or like reason why it won't work, because if they admit that it's possible, then it makes them face the reality that what they're doing is not the best thing. And that's really hard, because if they see you do that and they know they can too, then why don't they? So it puts a lot of pressure on them. So they feel obligated to like make it feel like it's not possible. So they raise up all these questions, and they're not doing it to hurt you. Just something that they've been raised with. And it's kind of like, it's really interesting to see that and notice it. Always really interesting.
You know, this time I was back, I didn't take it personally anymore. I would kind of just nod. I wouldn't even try to correct people. I wouldn't argue.
Yeah.
I would just nod and be like, okay,
It
cool.
makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
And if they want, you know, help, or if they want a resource, I'm happy to link it to them.
Yeah.
But I've stopped, even things like diet. So I went back this time, and I am in the best shape of my life. This is the first time in my adult life I've been under 200 pounds.
Woo! It's a big one.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just full energy. I feel healthy. I'm happy. And I go back, and you know, I have all these friends and family members who are really overweight, or just they're just not healthy. They're not, you know, they're not happy, and they try to give me diet advice.
Oh my God, they do.
But instead of, you know, trying to correct them, now I just let them be. And if they really want, I'm happy to send them, you know, a resource for it.
Of course.
But I'm not, you know, it's not my responsibility. I mean, and the same thing with travel, with online business. For a long time, I was trying to convince everyone I knew to become an entrepreneur because it made me so happy.
You're stubborn.
For myself.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, you know what? Maybe not everyone is meant to be one, and if they want to, I'm happy to help them. I'm happy to point them to the right direction. I mean, kind of just like what you said earlier over lunch. You said you know, you had sent me an email, and I sent you a pretty long reply.
Yeah.
And you had asked me if I do that with everyone. So I mean, do you remember what you asked me?
Remember, how can you tell if someone is serious or not when they ask you, like if they're actually gonna go through it and do it?
I think I actually still have one of your old emails in my box. So I archive everything that I never want to look at again. And I'm pretty sure under social that I have one of your old emails, because right here. This video that you sent me.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember this. This was a surprise, wasn't it?
Okay, so tell everyone what our conversation was like.
Okay, so basically I was messaging, if I remember correctly, I was messaging you for help. I was asking something and you replied, and I was really surprised, and I was asking, how can I stand out and give something in return? Like, how can I offer value in return? So I thought, hey, it'd be cool if I actually send him a video of me. Like, so he sees this person send him an email, but he doesn't really know me. So if he'll see a video, maybe it'll make him like, it will first of all be more fun to do, and surprising, it will show him that I'm serious as well. So that was a little surprise that I made for you, and just sent you a video. And what do you feel about it?
You know what? I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was weird at first. You know, I was like, who's this guy sending me a video of himself? So this was sent on September 9th.
Yeah.
And that's how many months ago was that?
That's 8 months ago.
So, I mean, so you basically, this is when you first decided, hey, I want to start some kind of online business.
Yeah.
And you know, I read you, and I think in the email you said, hey, I read your book. And this video really kind of just, it stood out to me because, yeah, you're right. It did exactly what you had said. It made me kind of feel like you're a real person and not just someone else sending me an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
In life, it's like funny. Nobody goes the extra mile. So once you actually go there and you do something extra, people are like, whoa. And it's really easy to do that. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, very cool. How would you feel about me sharing that video?
Oh, that would be funny as hell, and
Okay.
I don't think I mind.
All right, cool. So I'm going to put this up on the show notes. If you go to travellikeabosspodcast.com, show notes, episode 32, I'm going to have a link to the video. I can't embed it because it's actually set as private.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I'll have a link there. So as long as you have the link, you can watch it. And, I mean, basically, I think that's actually awesome because in that video, you were very unsure how to, you know,
How the fuck am I gonna get this shit started?
right, exactly. And 8 months later, you are here in Thailand, and actually not even 8 months later because you've already been here for 2.5 months.
Yeah, I've been here before. The plan was to make enough passive income to live, to be financially free and get my ass to Thailand before turning 20. That was the goal. That was what I was working for. I read Napoleon's Hill, Think and Grow Rich, where he talked about how to set a plan and to read it every time when you wake up and before you go to sleep. And so I made that. I read it like for over 3 months. I worked really hard. That was like the main thing I did. So before coming here, I was working, I was exercising, I was living healthy. I was kind of neglecting like social life. Like I would go out once a week or twice a week, but that was it. Most of my thing, I was just working.
So that is exactly the same story that I had when I got started.
Yeah.
It was almost a year ago today. It was, I think it was last May. So like exactly 1 year ago when I had just gotten started thinking, you know what, whatever I've been doing has not been working. I was making, $200 a month selling the ebook.
Yeah.
And it was a nice way to get my feet wet, and think, okay, you know what? It's possible to make money online.
Yeah.
What should I do? Should I go out and write 20 more books or like
20 more books? That'd be crazy.
Yeah. And I decided, I was like, you know what? I like writing and I really enjoyed having the book out there, but I never wanted it to be my primary source of income.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be just an author. I wanted to have some kind of business. And I really wanted to sell physical products. Because to me, it felt like a real business. It felt like, someone's going to buy something, they're going to get it in the mail, they're going to be happy, if they can touch it, and it's real.
Yeah.
So that's why I was so happy when I found dropshipping. And for the first 2 months, I basically sat in this office right behind us here in Pud Space, and I put my head down from morning until night, and I worked on the store. The only break I would take is I would have a short lunch break where I'd walk over, get some Thai food for $1, and then come back, do more work until 4, do CrossFit, have dinner, and then come back again and work until midnight.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
So
I didn't work that hard.
Yeah, so I had no social life at all for the first 2 months. I didn't go out on a single date. I didn't do anything. I basically just did that. And I firmly believe that if you want to be successful, you really do have to put in the hard work.
Of course, you have to go through that phase. I'm writing a diary every day since I turned 18. I haven't missed a day, so that's like over 2 years now. And I remember I have days where I just don't have much to write. I just worked so hard. So there were like days like, today I did this, and I have like all the frustration and things that I went through. And that's true, that you have to go through that period of self-doubt as well before you know you can fully do it. It's amazing. Like you said, it took you like 5 years to actually realize this is going to be possible. I don't know, I was influenced by it for a long period of time, so I guess I realized that before. That was really interesting. I'm also like surprised that at some point, like you said, it was really hard for you like to stop trying to give advice and to help people because you generally wanted to help them. I think it's really hard to accept people the way they are, but it's so important to do that. Because you can't go and try to change them. Like if they don't want to change, then it's up to them. It's hard, but you have to accept it. It was really hard for me as well.
Well, I think that's why it's nice having the blog and this podcast is if somebody wants the information, it's out there.
Yeah.
I'm so open about everything that I do that if they want any information, it's out there for the world. And if they don't want it, they won't see it. And it's funny that a lot of my good friends that I've known for more than 10 years when I was back in LA, they're so excited to hang out. They didn't even know I had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, have you obviously not listened to the podcast? You haven't looked at my blog. You haven't even looked at my Facebook.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have stopped using Facebook, especially the guys that are over 30, because I'm 32 now, so a lot of my friends are in their 30s. But I really believe that it's not because they feel like it's a waste of time. I think they secretly think it's because they don't really have that much going on in their life, and they don't want to see other people enjoying themselves, or other people moving on.
Showing off. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's really sad if that's the truth.
It's like they're basically trying to hide from the world and being in their own bubble. And one of the things that has helped me a lot is constantly being surrounded by people who are more successful than me or doing better than me, and because it's motivating.
It's very motivating, so much. Like I spent one day with a guy who exercises regularly, and by the end of the day I went for a run, just after I met him, and not by openly talking about it, just by being with him and in his presence, and you can see it, and the people you associate with are so important. This is why it's also really important to come to places like Chiang Mai or Pun Space and see, to realize, also for them to influence you, but also to realize that it's possible, that this dream is possible. Because when you're back home and you're not making enough money, and you have to reinforce that belief constantly, because society is going to push you inside, try to push you inside to their bubble where it's not possible. That's why I was really reading kind of religiously, like when I was still there. Also because it was interesting and funny as fuck, like just people sharing how amazing their life are. And that was a really big one for me.
And here you are. I mean, we're literally sitting in Pun Space, drinking coconuts.
Yeah, I was here like the first time a few days ago. I was, holy shit, the legendary Pun Space. It's like, it all seemed kind of like a dream, because you would have never have understood it. For me, it's been like, my career has been like literally like 1 year. It's been 12 months. I started like last May. And coming here and going through that phase so quickly was really weird. Like, I feel like I don't appreciate, I was telling you that before, I feel like I haven't had enough time working a regular 9-to-5 job to appreciate what I have now, because I never had a full-time job in my life. And
so you need to go back, get a crappy corporate job,
yeah,
sit in a cubicle, make sure you have at least a 1 hour commute through traffic every day.
Of course, at least 1 hour. That's...
Make sure your boss makes you stay overtime and come in on weekends, and then come back and enjoy this.
Yeah, of course. It's like, it's too young. Like, I had one part-time job for 6 months where it was like 10 hours a week. And I had no boss. I was literally texting him. I was supposed to sell coffee machines, but I was just texting him when I arrived and when I left. And during that job, like what I did, it was really good actually. I was just bringing a tablet with me. And the whole time I was there, I was reading. Like, I was a shitty employee and I knew it, and I didn't give a shit about the job. Just reading, and I read so much. And if I had to choose between the money value that I got from the job to like the books, the education, it would definitely be the education that was way more important, because it shifted my mind. So while I was working there, I was also working on my business, and it really made me push myself, because every time I went there, I knew I was basically like undervaluing my time, because it was worth more. I was making like, how much money was I making? I'm making like $9 an hour, $10 an hour, something like that. Really not very much, and I knew my time was worth way more than that, so it really pushed me to move on.
I think one thing I'll never do again is trade time for money.
Yeah, that's really a big one. Like, I constantly think about how important time is, and having an abundance of time is something so rare today, and it's so sad that people don't have much time to do all the things they want to do.
You know, one of the things about being out here is having so much free time every day and so little responsibilities that it gives us time to work on new projects, start new businesses, meet other people, and try new hobbies. And I realize that every time I go back to the US, I go back usually about once a year, sometimes twice a year. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, in those 6 months that I've been gone, I've experienced so much. I've been to two or three different countries, picked up at least one new sport or one new hobby, and, you know, maybe wrote a book, like, you know, started a business. And I'll ask my friends, like, oh, so, what's going on? What have you been up to? And they're like, oh, same old.
Oh, that's terrible.
And they mean it. I mean, literally nothing has changed in their lives. The same job that they still don't like. Mm-hmm. They probably even drive the same car. They probably live in the same place. They hang out the same bar every weekend. I mean, that's really it. I mean,
yeah, and there's nothing. And you think to yourself, isn't there supposed to be more to life? I really identify with that feeling, because it's incredible what you can do with time. I remember I was reading, like, it's going to be a little like weird to bring up, but there's this philosophy about Stoicism where they say basically, like, when you see someone who's old, it doesn't mean that he has lived for a long time, it just means that he existed for a long time. And that's a really big thing when you think about it. Like, we all have like the same time, we all have 24 hours in a day, but some of us just experience and use that time way more wisely. It's the same with money. Like, some people can be millionaires and yet like spend their money poorly, and some can have like a little bit of money but use it so well.
You know, so when I was back in the U.S., a normal salary for, like a decent salary was $50,000 a year. Okay. I mean, you would want to make 6 figures, but you'd also settle for $36,000 a year. So $50K was pretty good. So, but if you do the math on that, that's, I don't know what, almost $5,000 a month, $4,000 something a month. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money out here. But back in the U.S., that actually isn't very much at all.
No, It's not good.
Because first you have, all the taxes that get taken out. So realistically, your paycheck every month is $3,000. And then you have rent, which is at least $1,000. You have probably a car payment. You spend a couple $100 in gas, a couple $100 in insurance and other bills, and you're left with $250.
How'd you get that figure? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember
That's allowance.
I remember the reason why I had $250 in my mind was that was my goal, to be able to save every month. I wanted to be able to save up $250 a month after all my expenses, and to me that was like a pretty good amount to put away. Maybe 300 would be even better. And thinking about that now, that's insane. I mean, what happened to that other, $4,000 something dollars?
Yeah, where did that go?
And while out here, I mean, look, you're on vacation, so you're actually spending more than you would if you had, if you're actually living here month to month. What are you actually spending per day?
When I'm living here?
Yeah.
So I'm spending about 800 baht. That's pretty, and that's pretty like doing whatever I want. Maybe reaching 1,000, which is like, how much is it in bucks? That's like
30. So 800 would be $26.
Yeah, $26. So 1,000 would be like $30.
Yeah, $33. So you're basically spending less than $33 a day.
Living here, doing whatever I want, like eating out, like taking a scooter.
Okay. So that's less than 1,000 a month.
Yeah, that's getting a massage a day probably.
And that is being a tourist. If you did the exact same thing, but instead of paying nightly for your hotel room, you're paying per monthly. Instead of renting your scooter per day or per week, you rent it per month.
Or you buy one.
Or you just buy one.
Yeah. It's so different. It's gonna drive your costs so lower. Like I'm really going touristy here, and that's a big difference. So you can actually, and you get so much value. Like I remember coming here to Thailand, I was shocked by eating out. Like back home, I would eat out maybe once a week, and that would always be ice cream because it was just too freaking expensive. And here I just eat out at restaurants and I order pretty much whatever I want to. And that freedom, it's amazing. Like I was shocked by all the great food here, which I really love, and all the variety and the things you want to do. Like back home, I was telling this to my friends all the time. I would never take a taxi. I never took a taxi in my life that I paid for in Israel. And here it's just so natural, you don't really care. And having that freedom, it's incredible. It makes you feel so independent, and it's really sweet. It's like, it makes you feel like you have to take advantage of it, because back home your money goes much less.
I know exactly what you mean, especially because my whole life, I've really enjoyed being frugal. I enjoy getting good deals and saving money.
Yeah, me too.
And even though now I'm making enough money where it doesn't matter that much, I can afford to spend a little bit more on a taxi or spend more on food. When I was in Canada last week, every single meal was $30. Every single meal. It doesn't matter where we went, it was $30. And I was like, man, and it wasn't even that great. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is such a nice meal. It was like, we just needed some food, we needed dinner, $30.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, this is such an insane life. And we're in downtown Toronto, so we take cabs, and every cab ride was $10. And here a cab ride is $2, and dinner is $5. And the thing is, I enjoy it just as much here as I did in Toronto. I mean, I don't think I enjoy life any less here. If anything, I should enjoy it more. This morning I woke up, and it's my first day back. So I woke up, and I hopped on my scooter to go buy a bag of coffee. There's a local grower here called Akiyama. They have, organic, fair trade, sustainable farms. So I drove over, and I was like, man, the weather is so nice. It's, they just got finished with a harsh winter in Canada. Even San Francisco is really cold, and here it's been nice for it's basically been summer for the last couple of months anyways, but now the air is super clear, it's clean, it's warm, and I'm just driving around on this little scooter that I bought for $250. So I own it now, which means I don't have any rent on that. And when I leave, I'm going to sell it for $250.
Yeah, I remember you doing that in the book. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's such a nice feeling. And so the bag of coffee I bought was 500 grams. That's half a kilo. It's 1 pound. And it was 350 baht, which is about $10. And I think the equivalent coffee in the U.S. would be 16. So it's it's quite a bit more back home, just because everything's more. And I'm pretty sure that the back home, I'm not getting it from a local farm that's an hour away. I'm getting it imported from, Brazil or some other country. And the quality of life, the quality of food, the quality of, just day-to-day activities, I really think is better here, and it's cheaper. So it's almost ridiculous that I would spend more for less.
Yeah, I would go back home and I'd be like, shit, no way I'm gonna buy that. It's gonna be really hard going back, honestly.
But it's kind of a nice, I don't know, like, all right, so there's a lot of things that I liked about the US. So when I was home, I really enjoyed being able to order stuff online. And I literally got probably 36 packages in the mail when I was back.
Wow.
And my dad thought I was insane. He's like, how are you going to fit all this in your bag? And the trick was I didn't bring anything back with me, so I had 2 empty bags. So I brought 30 kilos of stuff back. It's like...
Stuff is the worst thing you can bring, like...
But, so I would say there's a lot of things that are not as easy to buy when you're out here. Especially if, let's say you want to use, like, organic soap or, like, toothpaste or something like that. You're not going to find it here. You're going to find, like, the big brands like Colgate and stuff. So I'll buy that stuff when I'm back home. Things like, really nice dark chocolate. It's just more plentiful back home. Here, there's only, there's a couple brands. The only real brand that's really good is Lindt. It's Swiss, but it's super expensive. So I bring a bunch of chocolate back, and things like finding board shorts or finding like underwear that fits or socks that fit are a little bit harder here because I'm a pretty big guy. So those things I buy, and I'm happy that they're so easy to buy when we're back home. But as soon as Amazon starts delivering to Thailand easily,
you're gonna have a hard time deciding what you're gonna buy first.
Yeah, I mean, what? Then I would probably, I only buy stuff I actually need. But now that it's a little bit difficult to buy stuff when I'm out here, I try to buy backups of backups. So I actually came back with 3 USB mics.
USB mics.
Yeah, so this microphone here, the Audio-Technica, I bought 2 of the exact same ones. One just as a backup.
Just as a backup, yeah, when you're coming from US. So different. Yeah. But generally speaking, I didn't have a craving for anything from home yet. But I've been here like 2.5 months. But I guess if you live here, it is different.
Well, one of the reasons why I bought all the stuff is because I decided to keep my Chiang Mai apartment year-round now. Before, I used to move out every time. Every time I would go somewhere for a month or 2, I would just check out and check back in. But then I would have to take all my stuff with me. But I realized, I was like, you know what? The rent is so cheap here. It's literally the same. It's probably less money than just the condo fees if you owned a condo somewhere, anywhere. I'm paying 6,500 baht a month, which is, I think it's about $250 US. And it's, in a great location. It's literally right behind Pun Space. And I might as well just keep it. I mean, like, there's really no reason for me not to just have it the whole year, which now it allows me to kind of stockpile stuff. It's not even 250, it's 216.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I mean, that was 1 night of hotel in Toronto. I paid.
Really?
Yeah.
1 night?
1 night of hotel in San Francisco or Toronto or New York or any big city. I'm getting entire months of rent here. The only downside is now my room feels a bit cluttered because I have...
Yeah, because you're like, I'm going to stay, and then you just throw it all around.
Yeah, so now I have a lot of stuff. And I firmly believe that when you first try to come with nothing. Try to come as light as possible, backpack.
Yeah, of course. And
enjoy that. And later on, if you decide, hey, you really want to follow this bulletproof diet and you have to bring, 5 big ass bottles of coconut oil or MCT oil with you from the States, then, do that later. But in the beginning...
But just come with nothing. Like, I travel so light and it's so much fun. Like, I have 1 handbag and 1 backpack, and they're both so light and it feels amazing. Like, I believe the less is more. And I've also been thinking that, like, whatever you need, you can buy here, except for, like, the things that Johnny is saying right now, which are very specific. But generally speaking, I see all the time those backpackers with, like, huge bags, dragging them around hostels, hotels. They're not really enjoying it. You can tell it's heavy.
And most of them don't even unpack because
it's like
they're only in the hostel for a couple of days, and they're like, man, I have this giant bag, so much crap in it. They never even wear the clothes on the bottom half of their bag. So what was the point of them even bringing it?
That's so true. It's so true.
So where else in Thailand have you been before this?
So before this, I've been mostly in Bangkok and the islands, the touristy islands in the south. I've been scuba diving.
Nice.
It's
Oh yeah,
just
you know,
funny.
I remember you saying that was one of your goals, your dreams.
Yeah,
right?
that was one of my dreams, and it's funny enough, like the exact day I turned 20, the exact birthday was the first time I dived in the open water in the sea. And that was the first dive, to be honest, was shitty because you're scared, and I went up a few meters by mistake, so my ears really hurt from the pressure. But since then, the other 3 dives I did were like amazing. There's something so peaceful about just diving and meditative, about just diving and listening to your breath. I remember also the small things, like I remember diving above one of other divers, and his bubbles of air just flew up above to me, and I was like looking at the bubbles, and I was just amazed by how beautiful it was. That was really a big thing for me, just having the freedom to do that.
So I remember you mentioning that you wanted to come out here to scuba dive.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. Actually, I thought I was gonna do it a lot of time, but then when I came here, I actually had other things that I wanted to do more. So you can't really plan too much what you want to do until you get here, honestly. Like right now I'm traveling, I really don't have any plans. When I was coming to Thailand, I thought I'll just go to the islands and I'll skip Bangkok, but my friends that I made on the plane, I'm traveling by myself, were like, just stay in Bangkok, check out the place. And I ended up staying there a month and a half total. And you can't really tell until you go there and see what it's like.
Yeah, it's good to kind of stay open-minded.
Of course.
And you know what? I can see that if you're not from a big city, where you like really big cities, and you're young, you know, and you want to party, you want to go out to clubs and meet a lot of cool people, Bangkok would be fun. And that's, you know, like Saigon is fun for that kind of New York style, you know, nightlife as well. I think for me, I've came from big cities, so I don't really enjoy them. So that's why I really like smaller towns. I like, you know, the islands and things like that. You know, so one thing that I wanted to ask you about is when you started your dropshipping stores, being from Israel. I mean, I get a lot of people that don't live in the U.S. and they want to get into dropshipping, but they're always afraid. They always, you know, email me these questions. So I actually recently wrote a post about it on johnnyfd.com. Is how to basically dropship if you're not a U.S. citizen. You did it.
Yeah.
Like how? So tell me about the process.
So the process actually was really simple. When I think about it, I just set up like a business in Israel, not a company, just a small business, not an LLC even. And then I just contacted these manufacturers, and my frame was like, I'll just go about it as if it's okay. And they accepted it. I was like, can I apply? I have a US. I stressed always that I'm selling in the US. So I was like, I'm based from Israel, but I sell in the US. And they never had any problem with that. I didn't have a single manufacturer turn me down because they were saying we're only accepting US based stores. Never. I had like people for other reasons, but never nothing related to my location. So I called the US, I got an EIN, what's it called?
Yeah, the federal tax ID number?
Yeah, I got one. It was super easy, and I used that. I got a US bank account using Payoneer. Really recommend them. Okay,
yeah, I've heard of them as well.
Yeah, so that's the account I used, and they have been super helpful, and that's it. And a big tip for people who want to use the Shopify payment gateway to save some money. Like I know that if I use PayPal, it takes 3.9% of my transaction, but if I use PayPal, like the Shopify gateway, it's 2.5%. So that's a big difference. So what I did, I just used the Payoneer bank account for the US, which saves me a lot of money on the transaction, and then you can just call Shopify and ask them to set it up for you.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. And definitely, once people start getting sales, they can switch that over to save, you know,
yeah. My
quite
first
a bit.
one was in PayPal, and just start it up. Keep it simple, just get it started.
Yeah. So you got started by finding my blog, or how did that work?
So it's really interesting. I was working on my apps, and then I stumbled again on your blog after a long time, about 6 or 7 months where I haven't read in it, and then I saw you were talking about this dropshipping thing, and I was like, and you were at the point just where you were turning profitable and you were really happy about that. And I remember just reading about it, and you were talking about this thing, and I checked out the course and it looked really interesting. So I was thinking about stopping working on my apps and then just go and working on that dropshipping, because I really wanted to have another source of income. And I was thinking, hey, I know Johnny, like I read this book, I had a lot of credibility, you had a lot of credibility to me, so I was like, if he says it's working, then I trust him. So eventually, what I did is I took 2.5 months where I just worked on the dropshipping. I didn't touch the apps, and that's how I got in a second business starting up. That was really cool.
I think that's really cool that you signed up for Anton's course. It's antonmethod.com if you guys want to check it out. It's good that you diversified to have both.
Yeah, that's incredible. Having like 2 sources of income, it's so important. Like putting all your eggs in one basket is really scary, especially when I'm traveling here. If one of those income sources suddenly cuts down, like if I had only one, like it's a nightmare just thinking about going back home and then starting to work again. So that was really a big thing for me. I wanted to have like in a different industry. That was...
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's smart to get one thing up and running and then start working on something else. I think that's one of the big reasons why I'm so scatterbrained. I know that if I just focus and just build more niche dropshipping stores, that my income would go up a lot. But I really enjoy doing other things. And I think learning new skills. I think I just like being challenged. And I remember as a kid and, when I was really young in elementary school, I would always talk in class. And I would always, want to do stuff. I couldn't just sit there and listen to the teacher. And I would get in trouble all the time. I actually apologized to my dad while he drove me to the airport saying, I'm really sorry that you had to leave work early all those days to come get me. And it's because I was bored, with the teacher trying to teach me something I didn't want to learn. And I think, that kind of entrepreneur spirit, even as a 8-year-old kid, was me defying against the school and saying, I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. I don't want to do what society tells me to do. I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah, and it's so weird as a kid, you don't know it. I remember when I was in high school, I just ditched a shit ton of classes just because it wasn't interesting. And I knew, I remember there was this geography lesson, and I remember if I ditched it, I would avoid the traffic going back home, so it saved me actually more time than just ditching the lesson, and I wasn't learning anything. And I was like, I knew I could learn way more by myself because that's what I love to learn. I love to read and learn how to play the piano, learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube, learn how to program. I had all these side hobbies that I wanted to spend time on and I was curious about. I didn't just want to go home and play the computer, which was also something I like to do, but that wasn't the main thing.
I used to love playing video games.
Me too.
And now I really feel like doing online businesses feels like playing a video game. But I actually get real money for it. Okay,
that's cool. I wish I could feel the same way. For me right now, I still don't see it as a game, but I can understand what you're saying. For me right now, the way I look at working is the least amount of effort I can put to get the most amount of results, so I can spend the rest of my time on things that I want to do without being dependent on it for money.
So I remember in Diablo 2, there was this auction house. Did you ever play that game?
No.
But basically what you can do is you can buy and sell, virtual weapons and gems. And I spent hours on there. And the thing is, you couldn't even cash it out. It's not like you can, sell it for a lot. Well, maybe you could, but I never got to that point. But basically, I would just spend hours buying and selling these gems. Like if you buy 5 flawed emerald gems and you can combine it into one, perfect gem or something and sell it for more.
Oh, I know that. Okay. So you spend time hassling and trying to make things. Okay, that's cool. Everybody went through that phase, just in different computer games.
Yeah, and it was fun. But now I'm thinking back, I'm like, what was I doing? I could have just, been doing that with real gems or some kind of online product instead. And so I really do think that every time I get a sale on Shopify, did you set up the notifications on your phone, by the way?
No, I didn't. Actually, it didn't kill me now.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing in the world. And the only thing it sucks about being in Thailand is most of those notifications come in while I'm sleeping because of the time zone difference.
Yeah, of course.
While in the U.S., it would come in, when I'm eating or if out with friends or just hanging out, and I would just check my phone and just smirk.
Yes.
And my friends always ask, what, is that a text from a girl? I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, nope, it's something better,
Yeah, that's incredible. When I check my email and I have a sale coming in, I always check for how much money it is, and I have a big ass stupid smile on my face when I do it.
And I guess it's kind of nice having the sales overnight too, because right when I wake up in the morning, I look at my phone and I see, 2 or 3 Shopify notifications sometimes. I'm like, and this is even before I brush my teeth or even use the bathroom. So it is nice knowing that after you set it up, you're getting sales while you sleep. So I'm taking a look at one of your old emails you sent me. This is February 10th of this year. So that was just a couple months ago.
Yeah, this was like about exactly 2 weeks before I flew to Thailand.
Yeah, and basically saying right now I'm finalizing my last arrangements before my trip to Thailand, and would love to hear your advice. So you got out of the army, you're generating $2K in income, which is insane for me. Still can't believe it. I'm planning to take my first mini retirement to Thailand. So I'm planning to buy a one-way ticket and live probably in Koh Tao and learn scuba diving. Right now, I've never dived before, but from your book, I saw you recommended the island. And so you basically asked me a couple of things about diving.
Of course. So before I actually went there, I thought diving was going to be this big thing for me. And it was a lot of fun. I just found it, first of all, it was really expensive. It's one of the most expensive things you can do here. And I found it like, kind of like, I don't know, I just wasn't as interested as I was and as I think I would. This is why I'm saying like there's no really point to make a lot of plans before coming here. Just come and see what it's like. But it was definitely amazing and an incredible experience.
Yeah, I'm glad you got to experience it. You dove in Koh Tao, which is actually the cheapest place to learn and dive. Diving itself isn't a cheap sport.
Of course.
I learned in Phuket, which is probably double the price. But I think that the reason why I fell in love with diving wasn't just being underwater. It was the whole experience of being on the boat for a few hours.
Oh yeah.
Being on the sun, and they served lunch on the boat, and I still remember that meal. It was fried chicken and spaghetti.
You still remember it?
And it was the best meal I've ever had in my life. And it could have been because I had just came out of the water after seeing all this crazy beautiful fish, and it was warm, and we had like an hour to just relax, sit under the sun, eat this food, and just look out on the horizon. And it gave me a lot of time to think about what I wanted in life as well. And I had just read the 4-Hour Work Week at that time.
Oh, that's a big one.
And I remember, and I wrote about this in the book in 12 Weeks in Thailand. And, I basically borrowed a piece of paper and a pen and wrote on it, wrote a plan on how to come out here. So if you guys want to read more about that, it's in the book.
I remember that.
It's funny that I don't talk about the book very often. I probably should more.
You should. It's been a big influence on me. I think that in terms of so for me the 4-Hour Work Week was really big in terms of mindset shift. But your book was really important in terms of practical things and how you can come here and what you should do and how to make that happen. So that was really important to me, and I loved reading it. I love the stories, the humor, and I told you this already, and I know that it really influenced me. It also made it really easy for me to get, so you want to travel, right? But where you're going to go, what you're going to do. So I like Thailand, Muay Thai, scuba diving, come here now. And it was so simple. And having this one destination in mind is really, right now, I'm about to leave Thailand in a couple of weeks. And I have this dilemma, where do I want to go in Southeast Asia before? And that's kind of hard. Just having, the thing with a lot of freedom is that you have to decide for yourself. And I know that I'm very lucky in a position to do that. But still, you don't know where you're going to head next or what's going to happen.
But you know what the great thing is? You actually have the option.
Of course.
My friend, that's called a high value problem.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this right now are like, you know what, fuck this asshole.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That wasn't really...
He's 20 years old. He's, making enough money where he can basically travel wherever he wants. He didn't even bring his freaking laptop with him.
Yeah, that's still really... I love the looks on people's face when I tell them that. That's really, really big. And I know that in the end, when I'll come back to Israel, when I'll go back home, honestly, I think it would be nice to see my family and friends, but I will still miss traveling and having the lifestyle, the level of high, comfortable lifestyle that I can afford here, that I'll just work until I can go and travel again. You know what, man? There's a good chance when you go back, you're going to work for a month or two and then be like, I'm just going to bring my laptop with me this time. Yeah. I'm just going to work from here. I still don't know. I was thinking about it. If I could start over again, would I bring my laptop? And I think I still wouldn't bring it. I think for this initial trip, it was good that you didn't bring it, so you could just relax. Yeah. But really, if you're going to stay at home and work on your business anyways, you might as well be sitting here. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I haven't thought about it. The thing is, I live with my parents and my brothers and sisters, and I really enjoy it. And I find it really easy to work there. So maybe... I don't know. I really don't know. Right now, I remember when it was winter in Israel. The winter isn't that big of a deal, but I just don't like the cold. I was thinking about Chiang Mai. I was like, damn, I want to get here. Because the winter, it's kind of depressing and it's cold. Really don't like it. And in here, the weather is kind of beautiful. Well, my advice to you is, if you're productive and you're happy, stay where you are. Mm-hmm. But if you're unhappy and unproductive,
get the fuck out of there ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
All right, buddy. It was really, really nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came out. Your story is very inspiring to a lot of people listening to this.
Yeah, this is a dream sitting here with you on this episode and just meeting you in person. It really is.
If they want to basically keep in touch with you, you have a blog that you don't update, but you will now, right?
I will now. So I started this blog before I came here. It's called youngadventure.net, where I'm just going to put my thoughts just right out. Actually, I already have a podcast episode. It's just one that I threw up before coming here, so you can check that out.
Okay, awesome. And I'll have links to all the stuff, including everything that we talked about. TravelLikeABossPodcast.com, show notes, episode 32. Thanks for coming. Peace out, guys, and I'll see you next week.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at TravelLikeABossPodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.